Hello. Today is Tuesday, February 23rd, 2016. Sorry if I'm a little loud. And this is WITR News. Why is that relevant news? This is kind of like a mission statement podcast. Very first one, first time doing this. And I guess what I'm trying to achieve from here on out is relevancy. I think there are a lot of good journalists out there. I think there are a lot of good, respectable papers, respectable broadcast corporations, news corporations. I think there are a lot of people that do a lot of good jobs. But I think also that there are a lot of people and there are a lot of ideas that kind of not corrupt, but it doesn't do the job justice. I recently I got a message from a friend, and it was this Reddit post, and it was talking about what job that was once respected and respectable is now a joke. So what job used to be something people admired and now is something that people have no respect for. And journalist was the very top comment. And in Reddit you can vote comments up or down. So people were voting up this comment. And it was kind of sad because it was hard to argue against that. In a world where 24-hour news rules everything, deadlines are the bottom line. So the story gets abandoned, really. And instead of caring about the importance of the story and why it's relevant to people, journalists kind of leave it by the wayside just for hits on the web or likes on a Facebook page or retweets or reblogs. So I think it's important to at least try and bring back relevancy to news stories. And it works both ways. First, internationally, like someone in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, should care what's happening in Ottawa, and should care what's happening in Istanbul, and should care what happens in New York City, and should care about the world, because a lot of stuff that happens in the world isn't really that far off from what happens in a small town. For example, what's happening in Flint, Michigan with their water crisis isn't that big a leap for somewhere like Charlottetown, which is dealing with new legislation for a Water Act. And vice versa. Using Charlottetown again, the city police there, the municipal city police, just received, or they're trying to get $15,000 to get new carbine rifles. These high-powered rifles that will protect them and help them do their job better and protect people. And we see that type of mentality down in the States and in other parts of Canada, where police are becoming a little bit more militant with their gear, their mentality, whatever. So, and I'm not here to say what's right or wrong. I'm just here to say it's important that we talk about it, or that we realize that it's important to talk about it. It's important to know about it, and it's important to have a conversation. And you're gonna hear that a lot, and you probably already do hear that a lot about having a conversation. But it you can't really have a functioning society if you don't really know how to talk to each other. So yeah, this podcast will be dedicated to taking news, international and local, and paralleling them. And it doesn't matter where it is. It could be halfway across the globe in Japan, or it could be, or Mukto, New Brunswick, or it could be the small town in Michigan, small town in Alberta, small town in BC, small town in Miami. It doesn't matter where it is, because in my personal opinion, news matters wherever you go, whoever you are, whatever you do. And it's funny because a lot of institutions are built that way. Stock market is built that way. News matters to it because stocks will fall or rise depending on what the news is. And I think a lot of people too. You should care because we hear it so often. We hear people say, "Why should I care about what's happening in Flint, Michigan? I'm here and they're there." Or someone in Toronto says, "Why should I care about someone in small town, rural Canada or the United States when I live here in Toronto?" And you come to realize there's no real difference between those places. No one place is unique. Everyone has the same problems, or will have the same problems, or did have the same problems. It's just a matter of finding it out. And I got this idea from two places. The first place was howstuffworks.com, which does a great job. Great podcast. Definitely highly recommend it. If you're just curious about science, if you're curious about how stuff works, clear in the name. It does a great job of explaining in a way that anyone can understand, the mechanics of a cell or a virus, or, how we think or the way we act, or chemicals. It doesn't matter. It's a great podcast that explains and makes relevant science and the world of science. So that was the first inspiration, and the second was John Oliver's Last Week Tonight, which is a great show, and I understand it's a satire of a news show, but it actually does really really good journalism, and on top of that, it does a really good job of making relevant something that's happening in small town Mississippi, and paralleling it with the rest of the United States, and people really pick up on that. I think, and you don't have to, be condescending to people when you talk about this kind of stuff, because they're not stupid, but I think people will care more if you can use an example from their community. And I think John Oliver does a good job of that. He takes a lot of things and points it out to people. So yeah, hopefully for the next month I'll keep at this. I'm gonna do it every Tuesday and Thursday, 2 podcasts a week. I'll take news, gather it, read it over, study it, and do my best to take local news and make it relevant to international news, and vice versa. and hopefully I stick with it. I'm pretty diligent most of the time, but I do slack off sometimes. So I'm gonna try to keep myself pretty disciplined. I'll throw this up on my blog. I'm not sure if I can throw this up on iTunes, but I'll try. The blog is witr.news. No, so I'm sorry. witrnews.wordpress.com. And I write stories there all the time too. Not lately, but this will be my first post in a while. And hopefully, if you enjoy it, you'll keep listening. I will do my best and look forward to making stuff relevant to you very soon. All right. I'll see you guys later.